Hello, everyone. What is going on? Hold on. Let me turn this music down since I don't have my DJ here today. What is going on, everyone? Sorry for the delay. Got home a little bit late from work. Hope everybody is doing well. We are here Monday. It is a little bit later than 5 over my time. It is 5:40 p.m. And boy, oh boy, oh boy, do we have a lot to discuss today, folks. We had Summer Games Fest this past weekend, and my goodness, was it crazy, right? I mean, let's lower the music a little bit. We'll get it in the background, right? Summer Games Fest was filled with nothing but top-notch games. We saw a lot of different trailers. We also saw an Xbox showcase where they're going to be working on their own handheld, right? The Ally ROG, whatever it is. What's happening here? Says TWZ. What's going on, Z? How you doing? So I'm throwing out my own theory that the guy in the hood in RE9 is going to be the original Albert Wesker. And the one we saw got blown up is his clone. And Grace is somehow immune to the T virus. Damn! Get the tinfoil hat on, folks. Mr. Tibbs is cooking. And let's all give him a round of applause and a happy birthday to Mr. Tibbs. Hope you are having a wonderful day, my brother. Love to see it here. What's going on, Ethan? Lily, how you doing? We got Gemini as well. Sorry again, everybody, for the delay. All right. So, I'm sure due to the name of the stream, we're all wondering what we're talking about today. And as you guys could tell, the first thing I have up is the Resident Evil 9 Requiem, or Resident Evil Requiem trailer. That one threw me for a fucking loop. What about you guys? I was hoping we saw something Resident Evil related. Right? Did we actually get to finally see something? Yeah, we did. And honestly, for Takeuchi-san and some of them to be like, yeah, we'll get a trailer to you in the blink of an eye. I'm thinking, oh, okay, they're still getting something going. Tune in to RE News I know nothing about. Well, you're going to know today, man. When he threw that blink of an eye, he was trolling us, right? He was trolling the hell out of all of us, and that threw me off. So all of a sudden, I see this game, right? The graphics are unbelievable. Now, most of us here have probably already seen these trailers, but we're going to break them down after we watch them and while we watch them. So we're going to be here today to talk about Resident Evil 9 Requiem and the new Silent Hill F, both coming out in the span of 1 year. That is insane. I don't think I can remember a time that a Silent Hill and a Resident Evil were coming out back to back. I think I was still a kid when that was going on. Oh my god. Alright, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to watch the Resident Evil Requiem trailer. And we're going to start breaking this down because I know a lot of people have a lot of questions. People have been messaging me, asking me, you know, Base, what is your take on the demo? The trailer. What is your take? Who is this Ashcroft girl? I cannot believe what I saw. Like, you know, what's going to happen with RE after 9? You know, is it still going to be a numbered franchise? Well, I got all of my answers, right? Typical that I was away the weekend it was revealed, says Mr. Tibbs, but I'll be giving my own thoughts and theories in both my episode 2 of the Resithon and my live stream on Wednesday. Okay, so we have a man right here that's on a mission, right? And he knows, right? Birthday boy knows exactly what he thinks. And I'm going to give you guys a little idea of what I think. Now, as you guys know, over here on the channel, we are going to be working on another playthrough very shortly on live streams, but after all this news, we couldn't just pass it up. We have to talk about it. So let's go ahead and shut this music up. Let's take a look at this trailer. I'm gonna put it full screen. Let me just make sure that we have total sound on this. Let's see. All right, that did not. There we go. Let me know if you guys could hear that.
Sir.
All right, we got a little bit of FBI simulator. Walking simulator. Is this Death Stranding on the beach? So right here, something I want to discuss right off the jump. We see investigation summary report, case ID 1990 blank, PD 45490 pending. Now, I don't know if that's supposed to be the date at the beginning of the case ID, right? But it looks like somebody was eaten to death, and it looks like we have some guys in a hazmat suit. Incident, fourth victim of unidentified disease. Now, get your tinfoil hats on. Obviously, here we're going to be really discussing what, right, each thing could be with a small breakdown. My personal thoughts is that this right here, she's documenting the events right before the Raccoon City outbreak. I think that, obviously, as we go through the trailer and we see what this character may be tasked with or what she needs to do, somehow something is related to a lot of what happened prior. Very interesting stuff. Very interesting stuff. I'm honestly quite intrigued as to what the hell they're about to do. Like, I can't even describe it because it's... But again, we got to continue to watch the trailer. I need to shut up.
Grace. Grace. Grace Ashcroft.
Yes?
My office.
Coming. If this is about the report you asked for yesterday, it'll be ready in 3. No, 2 days, tops.
Put a hold on that for now. We found another body. One that exhibits the same pathology as the others we've been investigating. Now, I need a good technical analyst on this.
Okay.
I need your eyes on the crime scene. The Renwood Hotel.
Okay, so we know already that she's an FBI technical analyst, right? And one thing we can notice right off the bat, right? And this was a thing that gave it away, not gave away that it was a Resident Evil, but gave away that it was in the RE engine, was the female expressions, right? Like, I honestly thought that this was Rose right off the jump, which I'm sure a lot of people have already done. I'm sure a lot of people were like, holy shit, is this Rose older? Like, what is that? Gemini says, the music, the soothing calm before the storm. Just what I need to get the old gears turning. What's going on, Gem? So, Brother Brace, what do you think on the look of Grace? I've heard from some people, they said she's the ugliest protagonist Resident Evil has had. I think people are way too critical, and those people could live inside of their basements and cry about it, right? Because they have enough games to play. And if they don't want to play this one, they have no reason to be here either. You know what I'm saying? If you want to go ahead and you want to bitch about every single thing that comes your way, by all means, go ahead and do it. But I think we need to give some characters a chance, right? Because they're going to say that they have the ugliest Resident Evil character possible. We've never even gotten to see Ethan's true face other than a character model, right? And Steve Burnside exists. I mean, like, are you kidding me? Like, this is the problem I have with... And again, I'm not... Right, we're not going to get on any sort of rant. We're not going to... But this is the problem with the fandoms of both Resident Evil and Silent Hill. They are so critical of everything that instead of just enjoying a trailer of this magnitude, they found a way to literally shit on someone that we barely know yet. No, she's no Leon Kennedy, but she sure ain't shooting, ain't ugly. That's what I'm saying. Like, she's not at all. Right? Could she have been Rose and it been a little bit confusing? Yeah, it definitely could have been. Right? We thought it was Rose. I mean, at first I'm watching the trailer and I'm like, yeah, she kind of looks like Rose, but she wasn't. Right? She wasn't. So Let's go ahead and, continue to prove the fandom why they're miserable always.
I know that's where your mother was murdered. Alyssa died 8 years ago. Perhaps it's time for you to face the past. Grace.
All right, now this is really cool here. So the Redwood Hotel, what we know right now is that her name is Grace Ashcroft, right? We've already got that part down pat. They do that right away with the FBI director, who I believe is the FBI director, or her boss, right? Saying it. When I heard Ashcroft at first, I was like, oh, wait a second. For those of you who don't know or haven't been checking the internet, since the announcement on Friday, Grace Ashcroft is the daughter of Alyssa Ashcroft from Resident Evil Outbreak and Outbreak File 2. Okay? Alyssa Ashcroft is a playable character. She is a reporter. She was a reporter for the Raccoon Times, right? Before everything went to absolute chaos. So, that's very interesting. We already have something that is throwing us off of our heels because it's something that Resident Evil doesn't do very often. Use a character that they never recycled again, right? We had Resident Evil 3 with Carlos, Resident Evil 5 with Sheva, the Revelation games, right? Thank God Steve Burnside never saw the screen again. We had a lot of characters that we never got to see again. That's what's so strange, is that all of a sudden they decided to not only, which I always believed Outbreak to be canon, but to really connect the dots and be like, no. This game means something. Go back, play it, enjoy it. So if this is Alyssa's daughter, are they setting up for an Outbreak remake? That's a very good question, Mr. Tibbs. And to answer the birthday boy's question, I don't see how they couldn't. If you totally miss the mark right now and don't go for a Outbreak remake, along with whatever other Outbreaks they're making, because we know for a fact, on top of making RE9, they have a couple of remakes in the works, okay? Brother Bass in the house, let's wake up! You better believe we need to wake up in here, okay? I was a little late to the party, but I'm here. Get the disco ball spinning. They have to capitalize now on an Outbreak remake and really nail it out of the park. I mean, again, like, this is the thing I always say about remakes. You have the blueprint. You have what the game looked like. Just make it look better. Keep the same story. Make it maybe a little bit more cinematic like the newer games. And you got yourself a deal. A done deal. One thing we also should notice, on top of talking about Alyssa Ashcroft, on top of talking about everything else, this transition to the eye, right? Doesn't that give you that weird, ominous feeling of the eyes we always see in Resident Evil, whether it be the first game, whether it be Revelations 2, whether it be 2 itself, right, with William's eye? Like, holy shit, talk about paying homage to what we love. You don't realize it now, but you realize, no, they're actually doing things to which they care about. Having Alyssa Ashcroft not only be a character that's canon in the story, but is apparently, as we just heard, dead for the last 8 years, was killed inside of a Renwood Hotel. Where's the Renwood Hotel? That's what's going to be interesting, right? Was the Renwood Hotel in Dulvey, Louisiana? Was it in Raccoon City, or was it just in a random town? Now, one thing we need to understand, it does. In fact, I think it's a one-for-one shot of the Outbreak eye, says Gemini, giving a throwback to those who know. I mean, I agree, right? And the Outbreak eye, sometimes it blinks. It also reminds me like of the Revelations too, but it's mainly Outbreak, right? Now, this is what's so interesting when it comes to Outbreak, right? Outbreak was always deemed canon, but since it was worked on by like a little bit of a secondary team with the supervision of like, you know, some of the main people in Capcom's Resident Evil team, we always considered it canon, but again, characters never showed up again. Kevin Ryman, David, right? A lot of people, Yoko, a lot of people, we don't even know if were they real. Now we know that they legitimately existed. We now know that Resident Evil's lore goes deeper than we ever could have imagined. Even Hideki Kamiya had said he wants to use the RE engine to make Dino Crisis, says Mr. Tibbs. But look at her iris there. Are more black streaks in there, and she doesn't got something inside of her. I mean, who knows, man, right? It could be that she was injected at this point with something. My question is, and this is something that I actually was saying to myself as Resident Evil, as the trailer like had began, I was like, wait a second, what is this? This is the FBI. We're going after the death of... I'm honestly thinking it's Condemned, Criminal Origins, the series that we covered over on, right, our shorts. And I'm like, did a new IP pick up the game? Are we being blessed with another survival horror chaos game? I was like, the graphics look awfully good. Somebody really good must have picked it up. I didn't know what the hell it was. This was the last announcement of the Summer Games Fest, so we're already like, holy shit. Lily the Cat says, hey, oh my god, I'm sorry, I thought I had the wrong time. I was watching you do the Extreme Battle now. Congratulations. Thank you, Lily. Sorry about that. I was a little delayed, had a little bit of work going on. It ran a little bit late, one of my sessions, and I booked it home as quick as I could to be in front of the screen. So I apologize about that, but it's always a pleasure to see all of you in here. Thank you for making it. So let's continue on. We're going to watch the rest of the trailer without me talking, and then we have a lot to break down. We're going to slowly go through the trailer as it develops.
Stay close. They're coming.
I know now that you're the one that I've been searching for. The special one. The chosen one. Miss Ashcroft.
Investigating all these strange deaths, huh?
All right, so this is just, right, tinfoil hat on. I don't think it's him, but I know, and I know that I said I'd let the trailer run, but interestingly enough, the man that's sitting in front of the record player, it sounds almost like the exact same voice actor who played Lord Sadler in the RE4 remake, right? If you listen to it again, which we're gonna really break this trailer down, sounded like his voice actor, which already I was like, holy shit, wait a minute, that sounded like Lord Sadler. So I'm seeing this, right? I'm seeing all the graphics. I'm like, is this Fallout 3's remake? Like, what the fuck? Like, what is this?
We need to keep our voices down.
Have you seen the same shit I've seen?
Please know that you are my hope.
Everyone's gone.
Stay away from me!
Wow. Okay. So we got through the trailer. Now, one thing that Takeuchi-san is very good at doing, if we were to go back and we're going to go and look at the Resident Evil 2 Remake trailer, he was the director and producer on Resident Evil 2 Remake, right? What I believe is that the director of Resident Evil 7, Nakanishi-san, is the one that is working on this game. Now, there's no indicator whether the game will be first person. There's no indication whether the game, right, will be third person as well. But what we do know, right, is that we've heard a lot of voices in this trailer. We've seen a lot of the landscapes. We saw Raccoon City. Now that, right, that was a pipe dream for a long, long time. We had a lot of people, right? I remember talking to a couple of friends and being like, imagine we got to visit the Raccoon City ruins after it was destroyed. You know, I have a lot of people saying, oh, what did they retcon the nuking? I don't think it was ever a nuke, to be honest with you. I think it was just a missile strike that completely wiped out any sort of living organism. I don't think it was if it was nuked, we wouldn't be able to go back for like 200 plus years. They never said that it was an actual nuke. No, it's fine. I'm glad I could see it. I'm so excited for this. I like Grace a lot already, Lily the cat says. I agree with you. I want to learn more about Grace Ashcroft, right? Being now connected to Alyssa. Could the man in the chair be an aged Wesker? I mean, that's a good idea. Me personally, I think it's Spencer. I think it's some version of Spencer, or is somebody related to Spencer that is searching for us, and what our meaning truly is, how an Ashcroft connects to Resident Evil is very interesting. Mr. Chip says that's definitely a Wesker. Like I said, it could be an original version that was experimented on to create a Wesker children. I also think, and here Leon, Chris, and Jill. Yes, so while I don't think that it is Wesker, and it could be, right? I could be wrong. Doesn't right? You know, like we don't have more definitive proof than what we're looking at right now. One thing that Mr. Tibbs did say is that we heard a shit ton of voices, okay? A shit ton of voices. And I'm not going to lie to you guys. I definitely heard Jill Valentine, right? Let me see if I can get to the part. Let's see. So right here, if you listen right here.
Stay close.
That right there, that's Jill Valentine's Resident Evil 3 remake voice actress. Okay? There is no debating it. If we listen to a little bit of, I don't know, Resident Evil, let's say RE3 remake trailer. I don't even, did it have a trailer? It did? Let's take a look.
Don't give in to fear out there, right?
How did this?
Let's see if they have.
Don't look at me like that, all right? I'm not infected. But right now,
Worse every night.
See? We could tell by the textile of her voice.
I can't stop them all.
you gotta get out of there.
You guys are the ones who caused all of this.
No, wait. Oh, come on.
We've got to be dreaming.
All right, now we could hear a little bit of her voice, and if we bring it back a couple of seconds,
Stay close.
right? I'm going to try to find a spot where Jill's voice almost sounds the same as the Resident Evil 3 remake, but I mean, nobody can tell me otherwise. There's no way on earth that Resident Evil 3's Jill Valentine is not that voice right there. So wouldn't it be poetic if we do lose Leon in a destroyed RPD? I mean, he started his first day there, so it could be his last day there too. It could be, right? I think a lot of us sat here and always thought that it could be Chris that was, you know, the one that was going to die. I don't know, all right? It could be Leon. Think about it. If they're going back, let's say hypothetically they're going back to the origin of Raccoon City, right? And let's say they decide to say this is 30 years after the Raccoon City incident. That would make this 2028, not, you know, because 2028, 1998, that'd be 30 years. One thing we notice on top of it, as we're going to go ahead and listen to the rest of the voices, right? We have a couple of other voices that don't sound the same. There is another female voice that you could probably say could be Jill, but me personally, I think it's Claire. I think it's Claire. Was also a male voice that we don't know of. I mean, who the hell could it be? Oh my god, I hope Jill makes it in, says Lily. I literally believe that most of the Raccoon City heroes are going to show their face in this game, right? We had Resident Evil Dead Island, the movie, where we had, you know, that big fan service of literally having all of the characters, Chris, Jill, Leon, Claire, even Rebecca Chambers. Now, although, right, that's not a sanctioned movie that's canon, as far as I know, it could be. We have a lot of stuff going on. I just want to take a look real quick. Let's continue listening to these voices.
They're coming.
So we heard, they're coming, like that. Can't really get a distinct tone as to who that can be.
I know now that you're the one that I've been searching for.
I mean, if you're telling me that this isn't
Special
Sadler.
The chosen one. Miss Ashcroft.
Investigating all these strange deaths, huh?
Okay, so investigating all these strange deaths, huh? Who do we think that that can be? Could it just be a new character? Could it just be her talking to somebody within the FBI? Or maybe she reached the area that the Renwood Hotel may be in? It could be somebody that's not related to the original Raccoon Heroes, as far as we know.
We need to keep our voices down.
That right there, this voice.
Voices down. Voices down.
Huh?
We need to keep our voices down.
We need to keep our voices down. That could easily be Jill Valentine. That could easily be maybe a snippet of, you know, Alyssa while she's still alive. Maybe we get to see a little bit of what happened to her. But maybe it could be Claire. So I just looked up. All the CGI movies are canon. Okay, so then if all the CGI movies are canon, there is a very, very good chance that Resident Evil Death Island, having all of its fan service and all of its characters show up, right? Be something that just kind of lets the characters know, hey, we still acknowledge your RE heroes. But think about the name Requiem, right? We're going to break down what Requiem means. We're also going to talk about what it could mean for the franchise going forward, which is very, very weird. I mean, when I look at what Resident Evil has become over the last 30 years of my life, right? We knew that the 30th anniversary was going to have a gigantic, right, gut punch, Street Fighter punch right in your face by Ryu of the Resident Evil franchise. We knew they were going to do something big. I mean, it was always speculation, but going back to the Raccoon City ruins is unbelievable. Okay, my thoughts right here was when I saw this trailer, my jaw just continued to drop until it was hanging out of my, hanging on the floor. To see and to be able to explore and to be able to travel through the ruins of a place that we have so many memories as fans is unbelievable. They threw us for an absolute loop here, folks. So the monster we see gliding down the wall could be a Regis Licker, which I actually had a conversation with someone saying that it could be. I agree with that. From Outbreak, which is the result of female zombie transformed into a licker, so that could be a gut punch Alyssa as a licker. Oh my God. Talk about one hell of a connection there. If that is Alyssa that's haunting her daughter, that would be absolutely disgusting. That would be crazy. I like that theory, Mr. Tibbs, but let me ask you guys a question here. What if it's Lisa Trevor? And what's to say that it's not Lisa Trevor? I'm saying it here now, in my theory, and I'm going to explain why. Lisa Trevor, in Resident Evil 1 during the mansion incident, we fight her. She grabs her mother's skull, screams, "Mother," and then jumps into the pit, right? We all think that she's dead. But remember, as far as we know, due to documentation in RE1 Remake, due to things that we've seen, she was nearly indestructible to actually kill. Isn't that strange? Just get your thinking caps on for a second. Bear with me, because I know hearing all of this stuff, it's kind of like, Notorious, what pipe are you smoking off of? And the question is that good shit. No, but really, what's to say that it's not a Regis Licker or it could be Lisa Trevor still alive? What gives me the indication that it could be Lisa Trevor? Well, she doesn't really age. Maybe she made her way from the explosion of the mansion, right? Because the explosion blowing up the mansion in the Arklay Mountains, that's canon. That's canon. Exactly. So Gemini says, bro, revisiting Raccoon City later on, especially for us veterans of the franchise, unbelievably hard-hitting after all of this time. Yes. So we have seen a lot of speculation. We've seen a lot of leaks right through to Dust Golem, some other people. Dust Golem seems to be the most credible. And again, we see insiders, we see these leakers. We can only take them at face value, right? Because we don't personally know. But one thing that was very insane, right? One thing that was very insane was 10 minutes. I think it was 10 or 15 minutes before Resident Evil Requiem was announced. He tweeted something out. I'm going to see if I can find that tweet. Let's see. Dust Golem. RE9 tweet. Okay, so the aesthetic gamer, right? This is Dust Golem. Let's see. Bluebird discarded. Can we find what the hell I'm looking for? Or do I have to be signed in? Yeah, this one's looking like it's a little old. Dusk. Okay. Let's see. All right, let me take a look. I'm trying to find exactly the tweet. But it was interesting because not even 10 to 15 minutes before RE9's trailer dropped, he said something related to the word Requiem, right? And, I mean, not many people paid too much attention to it, right? Do we have to, like, follow him? I'm just trying to figure it out. Let's see. March 14th. So he had basically tweeted out at some point something about a Requiem 15 minutes before the trailer dropped. So obviously his sources are to be credible, right? And it was actually like earth-shattering when this motherfucker literally was like, Requiem. And then all of a sudden the trailer dropped. It said Resident Evil 9 Requiem. And people were like, wait a minute. We could take this guy at face value for a second. Right? He goes by the name Aesthetic Gamer over on Twitter if you guys want, or X as you guys want, if you guys want to check him out. Mr. Tibbs goes, it could be. Jesus Christ, with Lisa being immortal and every virus inside her. God, that's a theory, brother based. That's what I'm trying to say, right? Why could it not be Lisa Trevor? Nah, man, the Lisa Trevor theory has merit. I could, right? I stand on that. And I'm not saying it's true. If I'm wrong, I don't want, all the RE fans that, will jump in and out being like, oh my God, you were wrong. It's like, okay. But at least I'm sitting here with my thinking cap on trying to figure out with what they showed me. We have gotten one singular trailer, okay? One singular cinematic trailer, no gameplay trailer, no absolutely nothing. If we look at Capcom's history in regards to Resident Evil in the last couple of years, we got Resident Evil 4 Remake in March of 2023, right? And then Village in 2021. So it's been 4 years since we had another numbered entry. Plus, check out the shackles and broken chains on the wrist as well as the long hair. Bingo! Which we're going to show.
Have you seen?
Now this right here, before we jump into what Jem is talking about with the shackles of Lisa Trevor and things like that, this pathway that the camera is zooming out of, as if like a cameraman is walking up the steps. These are the actual steps that you walk up with Leon and Claire when Leon goes, great, the station. Right? Unbelievable connections here, guys. Unbelievable. RE2 remake game gameplay, no commentary. Let's just go ahead and do that, right? Who are we playing as right now? Let's see. Is he already in the... Yeah, looks like he's already in the police precinct. Made it here quick. Wait, what? Okay, so look at this. I want you guys to keep an eye on this. Right, we remember this alley from Resident Evil 2 Remake. Look at the stones. Look at the bricks right here. Ready? Boom. 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 Bing bong. Look at the bricks on the two corners of these, right, this pathway. Look at the shot we have right there of the RPD. Let's get this big. Of the RPD in the distance. Okay? Look at that for a second. And there he goes. There it is. The station. What's different about this? This is literally the camera coming up from the same exact effing pathway that we walked in RE2 Remake. I'm telling you guys, this was shot so perfectly. I can't give these guys more credit than their editing, their skill, their ability to really capture things that, maybe the naked eye wouldn't have noticed right away. Now that we know it's the RPD, we could go ahead and see the building, and we could even see the clock tower to the left. We even see the bus and the double gate right over there. RPD, the double gate. We don't have a bus over here. The bus probably went ahead and blew its way over there during the explosion. But we have ourselves the same exact shot. Okay. And don't you worry, I'm gonna touch on that Lisa Trevor theory. I'm just trying to break it down as we go. Let's see here.
Please know that you are my hope.
So the please know that you are my hope. What if that's Alyssa? What if that's Alyssa, right? In some version of the game, right? In some version, we're getting to see a prelude to what happened to Alyssa. And maybe after she was, or just before she was killed, she is saying this to Grace. The homage is palpable, and I am here for it. So grateful for Capcom recognizing what it means to us. I mean, amen to that, Jim, right? Amen to that, Jim. Because honestly, this was all speculation for years. We had a story that we were going to an island, right, with like goat. I remember reading something. It was like a cult with like goats. And it was very demonic, and we were going to play as both Jill and Leon. It was going to be Resident Evil Apocalypse. What happened to the name Apocalypse? I personally think Apocalypse was a real name. But I think that the writers and I think that the editors, right? They said to themselves, look, we could do one of two things here. Seriously, we could do one of two things. We could either pay the homage to the original Resident Evil characters and end their story here with the word Requiem, right? Because if we look, before we finish this trailer, underneath Requiem for the Dead, Nightmare for the Living, okay? Yeah, I think that Apocalypse was once a working title. So what does the word Requiem mean? Let's take a look. Can't spell ever. So let's see. Let's say Requiem. Let's see. I'm trying to find like a good definition. A solemn chant for the repose of the dead. Something that resembles something of a solemn chant, right? But a mass for the dead, right? A remembrance. So when we look at the word requiem, right? We look at the word requiem, we have to think remembrance. Like almost as if the title is Resident Evil Remembrance, right? Requiem for the dead. We're remembering the dead and all that we lost during this. Nightmare for the living. So the real question comes down to, are there creatures that are still living in Raccoon City even after the bomb drops? And what are they? That is why I am so keen on the theory of Lisa Trevor. Now, I told you guys this is going to be a deep dive, so you really have to bear with me here, because I told you I wasn't going to let you down, right? Lisa Trevor RE9. We already got ideas that it could be Lisa Trevor. I'm actually surprised. I'm glad to see people I'm not alone here. Now, we see the huge-ass shackles on her arms, but right, maybe they reworked the shackles. I feel like RE9 is going to have a lot of shockers in it. One of them being actually seeing Lisa Trevor come back. What are your opinions of this trailer? I mean, I don't think that this guy, Routine Operation 661, is wrong. This was just posted 3 days ago on the Resident Evil subreddit. Already thinking that the creature could be Lisa Trevor. Now, it could absolutely be what Mr. Tibbs said, or Regis Liquor, right, from Outbreak, and I wouldn't be mad with that. Right? Even though we don't know what type of virus we end up facing, this reminds me so much of Lisa. After all, we already saw the zombies from the Spencer Mansion could further mutate into Crimson Heads. Keep that in mind, folks. They finally canonized Crimson Heads after the original trilogy, right? Lisa is having a cocktail of different things. Could be very much give her similar properties or ones close to a liquor. Right? She could just have that regenerative ability. She honestly, as beat up and gruesome as she looks, she could have the immortality that they were searching for so long with a lot of these creatures. My other theory is that this could be a mutated Alyssa, which is, right, Mr. Tibbs had said that a couple of minutes ago. It's cliche, but the missing relative as a protagonist has a pretty high chance of appearing killed or evil, LOL. Okay. So, right, we got this picture from Summer Games Fest. Now, this is the picture right here that Jem was talking about earlier on. We see a shackle on the arm over here. A very gigantic creature. Almost looks like she's wearing some sort of gown. Fingers that are absolutely long and disgusting. Right?
Everyone's gone.
This is just one hell of a shot, but we'll continue on that. Right? And then we have this creature. Look at the fingers. Look at the fingers. Wearing almost a dress-like outfit. Now, does she have the hump and stuff? No, right? Like from what we're looking at. From what we're looking at over here, we can't see a hump. So maybe, you know, it could not be. But what if it is? Lisa Trevor was the daughter of the architect of the Resident Evil 1 mansion. I don't know how many of you actually know that, right? But George Trevor, right, the architect that created the labyrinth that we know as, that, you know, Oswald E. Spencer commissioned him to make in order to be kind of like a booby trap infested mansion that led people away or killed them before they reached the laboratory where a lot of the information was. I mean, if we're going full circle, right? What's to say we can't get the gas going in the car and just go full circle with even one of the biggest characters that we could have? And we're going to look at the Renwood Hotel, obviously, as well during the stream. Because we don't know what the Renwood Hotel was, and we don't actually know exactly why Alyssa was there. I frame by frame that shot so much. Even the head looks rounded and awkward, and it's wearing a skin-like mask. I mean, yeah, man. I personally agree with you. As I said, it's going to be a closure on everything that we love and hold dear. I've got a very bad feeling about this. Maybe all four won't survive, and this is setting up for a future generation. I think you're both correct and on the right track as well, Mr. Tibbs, with that at the same time. I think we're going to see somebody bite the dust, right? We're going back to Raccoon City. We got to at least see Leon and Claire. Chris in somehow, some way, shape, or form is probably related. That's the, right. That's the problem that we're going to be facing, right? Requiem for the Dead. This is bringing it back full stop, full circle, 30 years later after the events of what happened. So if we look at it on a timeline, Leon would be around 50 years old at this point. A lot of them would be in their 50s. Claire would be in her late 40s. Jill, having been infected by the Nemesis virus, doesn't age physically, right? We learned that from the Death Island movie as quickly as everybody else. But she's got to be close. She's got to be in her 50s, right? The sad truth here, and I'm going to say it, is that we're going to have to let our heroes go. And I think that's what Resident Evil and Capcom is trying to set up. They went along with the Winter Saga in order to introduce a new character and really get you adjusted to the idea that our heroes that we grew up with back in the 90s, they may not be around forever, right? They're not invincible. They're human beings. They're trained operatives. But that doesn't mean that they could escape age and time. Wait, what happened to him? Lisa's father. So, George Trevor has a really, really unfortunate situation. George Trevor was he was tasked and commissioned by Oswald E. Spencer to go ahead and be the architect for the mansion. Oswald E. Spencer wanted to have a labyrinth-style mansion, right, that kept out people from what was truly going on underneath the mansion. What had happened was let's see if we could explain a little bit about. All right, so it says Lisa Trevor was born around 1953 to architect George Trevor and his wife Jessica. Trevor and Chamberlain was at the time well known for construction and specialized in eccentric and elaborate building designs. From 1964 to 67, the company was tasked with building the elaborate Spencer Mansion in the Arklay Mountains, with Trevor himself being immortalized in its design wall painting in the gallery. All right? Upon the mansion's completion, the family was invited to stay at the guest of the client, Oswald E. Spencer, Earl Spencer, right? That's what the E stands for. With George himself caught up with work and being unable to go, Jessica drove on to the mansion with Lisa, where they planned to stay the week until George had arrived. Arriving at the mansion around Friday, the 10th of November, The two were immediately detained by Spencer's guards and taken to an underground cavern below the estate. There, Jessica and Lisa were respectively injected with the type A and B strains of the progenitor virus. All right, the original virus, right? The origin of the T virus. The newly discovered retrovirus Spencer believed would be useful in eugenics, but which required the alteration to successfully mutate a human. Over the next few days, both were subjected to further tests while their mental health state deteriorated, like the onset of brain damage and the effect of the progenitor virus. While Jessica made plans to break out on Monday, November 13th, her poor reaction to the virus deemed her as a failed experiment, which led her to an immediate execution. This is all going on and George isn't even here yet. I just want to give the backstory. This is taking place literally in the 60s. Close to the 70s. This is well before even the events of Raccoon City. This is just what happened to the architect of the mansion. His wife and daughter went to visit Oswald Lee Spencer due to the invitation, and George stayed back to continue working on whatever it was. And the poor duo was used as testing grounds for the progenitor virus. Though not to the extent of the properly engineered progenitor strain, we have that as Lisa's mental deterioration worsened and she longed for her mother, right? Mother! We know that she had a real big fixation on her mother. A Spencer employee was tasked to impersonate Jessica and keep her satisfied. Talk about psychological fuck up. That is really messed up, albeit with little success. So now we're 5 days in after they were kidnapped. Lisa's deterioration reached a critical state in spite of her enhanced abilities, and she went into a violent outburst during dinner with the impersonator who was impersonating her mother. When Lisa realized the deception, she believed the woman had stolen Jessica's face. Okay? That's exactly why she has the many faces on her. And attempted to cut off and give it back to her mother. It is uncertain if the woman died from these lacerations. Over the next several days, Lisa's mental state worsened further. Her diary suggests she briefly escaped the lab following the attacks. Her claims of having found the graves of both her parents cannot be concealed with the known events. However, as George was at the time still alive, she did find her mother's grave, but was unable to open it as it was sealed shut with a heavy stone slab. So that is the grave that we see, that we fight her around in RE1. So Lisa's father was the first Elder Crimson. We fight in the coffin after we find the mask. That's correct. That's at least what I believe as well, right? Now let's go ahead and take a look at George Trevor for a second, because again, guys, this is a major deep dive. So if it's going, a little bit over the top, just bear with me here. So let's see what happened here. So while wandering around the manor in November, this is George Trevor. Trevor began to constantly notice things either that were out of place or were not. So he was the architect that created this, right? He created the mansion. Arriving at the estate on Monday, November 13th, okay, this is 3 days after his wife and daughter arrived, he was told by Lord Spencer that his family had left earlier to see his Aunt Emma, who was ill. I mean, not for nothing, if I'm a father and my wife and daughter, obviously this is the 60s, they didn't let me know or I haven't heard from them, I'm not taking a guy at face value for that. He had dinner alone with Lord Spencer, not knowing that they were actually being subjected to experiments with the prototype progenitor virus. On Tuesday, November 14th, Trevor was given the official tour of the mansion, right, that he helped build. He was the architect, where he was baffled by Lord Spencer's collection of medieval suits of armor, Da Vinci paintings, and Raphael statues. It was on this day also Lord Spencer made reference to his intentions to open a pharmaceutical corporation. We know what pharmaceutical corporation that was. This had puzzled Trevor, who was expecting the mansion to be a private retreat for Lord Spencer alone, evident by the total secrecy of the mansion's construction, right? So, when he was building this, he thought that Lord Spencer just wanted to have these elaborate labyrinths in order to just be left alone, God forbid anybody had broken in. We find it in documents along the way of RE1 Remake. While wandering around the manor on the 8th of November, Trevor began to constantly notice things either were out of place or were not supposed to exist. The most notable incident was when he arrived to a deep hole behind the artificial waterfall. These were to be foundations of a laboratory just built there. White-robed men smelling of disinfected escorted Trevor away from the courtyard. They had been following him from the mansion for some time. On the 20th of November, Trevor lost his lighter, believing it to be in the room with the hunting rifle. Okay, so this is the room right here, I think, that has the shotgun on the wall. Making his concerns about the trip known to Lord Spencer, Trevor noticed him of the intention to depart the following day. So he was starting to get a little suspicious of what the fuck was going on here. Right? Trevor was observing paintings with Lord Spencer with one of the white-robed men. The paintings were the man's progression of through life. At this point, one of the men turned to him and said, "Right about now, your family is." At that point, Trevor was knocked unconscious from another man behind him and locked in a room. What the fuck? It was on Friday the 24th, after 3 days of captivity, that he realized the truth. He and Lord Spencer were the only ones aware of the mansion's secrets, and Lord Spencer wanted him dead as a liability. He made his preparations to escape. He tried to escape and was horrified to find that one of his wife's shoes lied around the manor. His memory affected after being drugged. The struggle to remember that many puzzles that he had devised. So think about this. He didn't forget. Yeah, he didn't take the advice. Don't forget the lighter at RPD2. Now, he totally fucking ignored that one. He totally ignored that one, dude. If he would have went back for the lighter in RPD2, he would have never gotten caught here. So in one of the places of the RE1 remake, right, we see a grave. It says, "Here lies George Trevor," and then there's a hole underneath it. That area where Jill drops down in, or Chris, that's actually the area that he was left to die. Right? Him and Oswald Lee Spencer were the only ones to know about the intricacies of the labyrinth, how to solve the puzzles, how to do anything. And Oswald Lee Spencer, being a narcissistic psychopath, said, "Me and you know it. We only need one." And had him killed. Not only were his family members tested on and tortured. Oh my God. I mean, talk about the damaging dark lore that if you made another Resident Evil remake of 1, I mean, being able to see some of these scenes may be really gruesome, guys. But we understand now that George Trevor was basically executed, left to die, starve, tortured by Spencer. And he's the one who built this mansion. So now we know a lot about Lisa. We know that she was looking for her mother's face. She wears a lot of the faces of people that she believes stole the faces of her parents. That was a big emphasis in RE1 remake, right? Because Lisa wasn't in the original RE1. Now let's look at the trailer. Back with the RP. What we have there. I'm trying to get, let me, there we go. Stay away from, where is it? Where? Yep. Look at that chain on her arm right there. That was actually a good stop right there, folks. Look at the chain on her arm. It's pretty thick. We see the chain, we hear it. It kind of sounds a little bit like Lisa Trevor from RE1. It's definitely a big enough creature. It looks like she's crawling out of a hole in the wall. You can see the longish, elongated hair. We see what looks to be a horse statue in the background, right? Maybe a puzzle you have to solve. We don't know who the guy with the hood is, right, as of yet. We don't know what this room is. We don't know where we are here. Maybe this is the Wrenwood Hotel, right? We don't have a lot of information as to what this is. Is he saying stay away from her or the mother? Now, actually, it's funny that you brought that up, Tibbs, because I threw on the closed caption, and it stops it from. Stay away from that! He starts coughing up blood because it looks like part of his neck is, you know, taken out. So he's warning someone, stay away from whoever. We don't know who this masked man is, but we see him strangling somebody with a bag. We don't even know who the hell that is either. That looked like a cop. Right here. We see the gruesomely disgusting teeth. If we look to the left and right of the jaw structure, it looks like hair. The aesthetic of the building looks very 90s. Yeah, it could be a flashback, Gem. It honestly could be. Which is very, very interesting because, again, we don't know the intricacies of this game. We don't know how deep the lore is going to bring it. But I am going to say here right now, for the people to watch later on in the VOD, for the people that are watching in this moment, I think this is Lisa Trevor. I think that she is still alive, and I think that she wants... You know, she may be one of the enemies that is in Resident Evil 9. I don't think, right, she's going to be the big focal... Like, she's not the main focal point. We don't know what the guy with the hood is, right? And I tried cross-referencing the lips, right? Let's see. Man in hood RE9. I mean, I sat here for quite a bit, just weirdly looking at another man's lips. So that's exactly what the lips look like. Now, it kind of looks like there's like water dropping on him, and almost looks like he's like foaming at the mouth a little bit. It looks like he may be infected with something else. He's wearing a white collared shirt, right? Could it be Wesker? Could this be Wesker? You think it's Leon Kennedy? The aesthetic of that building looks very 90s. I'm sorry, but that's a Crimson Head. That's also not a bad idea. Could it be a Crimson Head? Now that Crimson Heads are canon, could it be a damn Crimson Head? Masked Man is Leon Kennedy? Could he be infected at this point? Who knows? Oh, wow, that would be a twist. The zombie monster at the end is definitely a Crimson Head. I mean, it's not that I would disagree with you. I think that it very well could be a Crimson Head, but remember, we know that Lisa has the progenitor virus in her, and very well is like a more mutated, aware, right, entity that could literally, like, knows things, walks around, hides, burrows, has her own area where she keeps her stuff. So, right, her mental state has deteriorated, but at the same time, she still is aware of a few things. So she is kind of like, she has that intelligence level. It could be just I almost said a pyramid head. It could be a Crimson Head. So, damn. Talk about overscore with lore here. Talk about, right? We are really digging deep here. Now, as much as I don't know if this is actually true, right? The lips. This dude is foaming like he sees a fucking sandwich that he's dying to eat, right? And then there's this guy, pure saturation. I don't think the connection is Wesker. But it very well could be. Because you could see the way that the collar of the black shirt works. Or it could be one of our heroes from the Resident Evil franchise being here. Fuck, it's another version of Marguerite. Jack, you won't need it, Jack. Shut the hell up, Marguerite. Tibbs could be right. But at this point, I don't think anything is off the table. I definitely agree with you, Jem. I do agree with Mr. Tibbs. I mean, he is the lore expert here. Why, I thought that the Regis Liquor call-out was fantastic. Could be a Crimson Head. It could be a lot of things. And the shittiest part is, we're not going to know until we see at least another trailer. But I think that we're going to see another trailer at the Tokyo Game Show, right? Capcom is big at the Tokyo Game Show. They're not going to wait for the Game Awards, because the game comes out 2 months after the Game Awards. Think about that. That's something that we should talk about really quick. February 27th, 2026. That is literally 8 months away. This game doesn't even have over a year to go. What game companies and what games already have dates upon their first trailer? Not even Silent Hill F did, which we're going to talk about Silent Hill F the second half of this, right? The second half of this little discussion that we're having. But my God, man, talk about just really, 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 really digging deep here. This, right? We talked about this. Requiem. We know the word Requiem now, right? There's a lot of information that's just right in the little subtle details. Actually, something that is quite intriguing that I really liked. Let's see.
You all right?
I like how we could see Alyssa. Let's see.
I know.
We're going to talk about the Remwood Hotel at the moment right now. Let me see her. There she is. That right there, folks, is Alicia Ashcroft, a playable character in Resident Evil Outbreak and Outbreak File 2. She wears the all red. She's a reporter. Okay? we get to see a glimpse of the past and what Alyssa Ashcroft looks like at this moment. That is really cool. Remember, Capcom is known when it comes to the Resident Evil franchise for abandoning characters unless it's like the 4 or 5 that are main, right? But now, we decided to connect it with a character that nobody even had any idea would be relevant. And we get to see a little bit of the past at the Renwood Hotel. We're going to look into the Renwood Hotel in a few minutes. But I'm really curious to hear a voice on the bus, and I want you guys to tell me what you think. I'm telling you, I will do a Ghost Reaper Chili Challenge if there isn't a Crimson Head in this one. I mean, dude, you won't even have to do the ghost. I really think that there will be Crimson Heads. I think that a lot of creatures that had intelligence and weren't actually right at the drop zone are probably still alive. That is why, since we think Lisa Trevor is immortal, that's why I just have a hard time not believing that it could be Lisa. You know? But I don't disagree with you. I don't disagree. Now, we got to see what Alyssa Ashcroft looks like. Right here, Grace looks like she is kidnapped. We don't know if this was when she was a bit younger. Maybe the traumatic experience of seeing her mom dead and whoever the captor was, this was in the past. If Grace's father is Steve Burnside, I will literally drive to Capcom and have a very thorough discussion on what we're doing. Oh, I hate that guy. Come on, man! He sounds like a really bad Sega Dreamcast character, which he was. So, right? This could be in the past or it could be present. We see that she's injured on the piece of her chest right here. That is her left side. That's actually the side where her heart is, which is interesting, right? And it almost looks like she's injured, right? Let me just pause the music for us so we could just chat for a second. Right here, we'll hear Jill Valentine's voice again.
Stay close.
100%. 100%. If we play Resident Evil 3 Remake and we see her, I don't know, I'm trying to think of a part where she actually talks and there's actually dialogue behind that hollowed out game. That's it. We need to get right. She talks to Tyrell. And Tyrell is talking to her, and she's like, "Leave this alone. He's a professional." She's talking about Carlos Oliveira, and then all of a sudden, she's like, "So am I." Right? Like we could hear the textile tone of her voice. We know that it definitely could be Jill. Don't know why my message sent 3 times. I only see it once. Don't worry. So I didn't send a shit ton of times. So you're totally good there. The bus is what I'm thinking is very interesting here. I want you guys to tell me what you think the voice of the bus is. Yeah, the magic school bus.
I know now that you're the one that I've been searching for. The special one. The chosen one. Miss Ashcroft.
Investigating all these strange deaths, huh?
We need to keep our voices down.
Have you seen the same shit I've seen?
Okay, so right there. Let me ask you guys a question. Again, get your tinfoil hats on. Do we think, for a second, investigating all these strange deaths, huh? We don't know that character's voice, at least I can't pinpoint it in my brain. The one where she says, we need to keep our voices down. That could easily be Claire Redfield. It has the same exact tone in Revelations to a degree. And remember, her voice got a little bit deeper as the characters changed from Claire from original RE298 to where we are now. The guy in the bus, you seen the same shit I've seen? Tell me why that couldn't be Carlos Oliveira. Tell me why, if they're not making an entire turnaround, an entire 360, right? An entire 360 through the franchise, that can't be Carlos Oliveira, right? And we all here know about Carlos Oliveira, right? Almost had it. There it is. Our absolute Giga Chad father, Carlos, the man, the myth, the legend, Carlos. Right? There we go, Lily. We know so much about Carlos. We've played this game enough. We've played RE3 Remake. We've played RE3 enough to know who Carlos is. What are the chances that that voice, the tone, the deepness, the way that he sounds couldn't be Carlos Oliveira? What's to say that they don't just pull out the full stop and just show us characters we haven't seen in a long time? They're already doing it. See, that's an interesting phrase. Why would he say chosen one? That definitely has potential of Grace being immune about something. It does. Why is the Ashcroft name have any sort of significance at all if for the last 21 years since Outbreak dropped, the only thing we've actually seen of Alyssa Ashcroft is the Dolby Daily. In Resident Evil 7, she relocated after the Raccoon City explosion to Dolby, Louisiana, and was reporting on it. We're going to go take a look at that very shortly. What I wouldn't give to see Carlos meet Leon. I mean, think about it. He pays homage to Leon in the second game when you see the banner hanging up and he's like, welcome, Leon. Talk about a first day, right? Like, there's a lot of, like, funny quips that he has. He has that famous line, well, that's a weird fucking door, right? Like, the things that we're all thinking just directly every time we played Resident Evil, but we didn't question it because we were used to Resident Evil and its elaborate schemes, its weird chess piece-like keys. This man was not from Raccoon City. We are from Raccoon City, right? Us as fans, we are from, to be honest with you, I personally think the players are Raccoon City residents because we have been in Raccoon City most of our lives. He's an outsider, right? He is an outsider that was tasked with coming in here, infiltrating and saving humanity, the people in it. That's why he kind of states the obvious, and I love that he breaks that fourth wall charm. I personally love the remake Carlos Oliveira, and I love the Jill Valentine. I thought that they were the best parts of Resident Evil 3 Remake. I would 100% play RE3 Remake over again just for Carlos and the Jill interactions. Thought it was really good. People could, you know, disagree with me. Now, here's an interesting one. We're looking at our handsome bowl cut hero. We already got a lot of speculation that Resident Evil... This is interesting here, folks. Resident Evil, if we look at the top right, Resident Evil Requiem's guy in the hood and mysterious man sitting down may be Leon S. Kennedy going incognito for story reasons. He also may be another protagonist, like Claire in Chris in RE Village. I mean, it's 100% possible. I don't think this is Leon. Right? I don't think that this gives any indication that this is our main man, Leon S. Kennedy, Leon Scott Kennedy. Again, we only see one trailer. We can see Leon's beautiful face and we see his lips, right? Okay, here we go. Carlos is cutting us off. If Carlos comes back, he needs to say, I told you I wouldn't leave you alone in this cold, crude, Carlosless world. That is so facts, dude. He needs to give us those really quippy, like, 90s cheesy lines that even Leon used to give us, right? There's a lot of speculation here, guys. It could be Leon. It could be friggin' Oswald E. Spencer in some sort of form. It could be Wesker. It could literally be a character. This is another idea I have. This is another one, and I want you guys to bear with me here. Listen to this voice real quick.
Have you seen the same shit I've seen?
Okay. Could it be this guy? Since we're now right now we're diving into Resident Evil Outbreak lore. Why can't it be Kevin? Why can't it be David? Why can't it be any of these characters inside of here? What if they go to visit one of the survivors that escaped with Alyssa? Right? They're really going for the full out-of-the-park home run. Right? What if it's possible? Here's Alyssa Ashcroft. We get to see Mom. This is Mom, right? This is Grace Ashcroft's mother. Leon is too beautiful to die, says Lily. I would agree with you. Wait a minute. Now tinfoil moment. What if that's Luis Serra? Before the Nemesis Project, look at the suit. Before the Nemesis Project, look at the suit. And isn't it interesting that it's... Okay, like, let's take a look here for a second. We have these gloves. We have a... That jacket, if you look at his arm, you guys could see his arm, right? You see, like, the fabric. Again, tinfoil hats on. It could be what Mr. Tibbs is saying as Luis, but again, Wesker, RE5. Look at this outfit. Boom. You guys want to tell me for a single second that it actually couldn't be Wesker? I'm just saying, if we look at the arm, we see the outfit, right? We see the hood a little bit. I'm not saying that it's Wesker, so don't, I don't want anybody here being like, oh my God, he thinks it's Wesker. It's probably the biggest. No, I'm just saying, look at the suit. The jacket is very Wesker. We are looking at the RE5 outfit that Wesker wore. It could be an impersonator wearing a costume that's a lot like him. But who is to say that this couldn't be Wesker? Or it couldn't be one of Oswald E. Spencer's, offspring. Or it couldn't be Oswald E. Spencer himself. Or fuck, it could just be a different character. It could just be somebody that will be connected to someone we do not truly know. Right? I mean, what's to say? Let's look at it. Let's look at a list. I'm curious because now that we're talking about Wesker's costume, and this just popped into my head. I mean, if we look at the guy, right? I mean, look at this outfit. Could it be a member from Resident Evil Outbreak that's talking in some of these? Absolutely, during those cutscenes. The hair is black and slicked back and curled, just like Luis's hair is like. It could be, but could it also be one of the other Outbreak members? Right? I mean, that's not a bad take, Mr. Tibb. It's actually a pretty good one, right? Birthday man. Now, let's all take a second here before we continue on with a little bit of our... Right? Before we continue on with our video, I want everybody in the chat to wish Mr. Tibbs a happy birthday. Hell yeah, let's go. It's almost that time. It's counting down, everybody. Yeah. To you, happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, happy birthday, happy birthday, Mr. Tibbs. Yeah, break it down now. Happy birthday there, Mr. Tibbs. A toast to everybody in the chat. Thank you for watching, and thank you for watching if you watch it as a VOD. Right? But special guest, Mr. Tibbs, who's been on a couple of my videos. Today is his birthday. Yeah. Happy birthday. I'm actually singing, if you could believe it. Day to you. Yeah. Make sure you guys go check out Mr. Tibbs 1992 over here on YouTube, okay, guys? Today is his birthday. He is a very special person to me in my heart and a very dear friend. Please give him that love. He is the lore expert of Resident Evil. There you go, my brother. Hopefully you enjoyed that. Oh, Lefty the Bear. God damn. Loving what I'm seeing here. So... we got to see a lot of the FBI, right? We got to see a lot of the intricacies. Now, what I want to take a look at, right? Because we're diving really deep into a pool of like different areas of what Resident Evil, this new thing, could be. Could it be characters from Outbreak like Kevin Ryman or David? Could it be Wesker in his outfit? Could it be Luis Serra, as Mr. Tibbs said, right? Could it just be a brand new protagonist that's related in some way? We don't know. We have no effing idea. We just do not know. And the speculation's going to be living there for quite a bit. But what we could do is look at a video about Alyssa Ashcroft. Let's take a look here. Announcement reaction. 25 facts about Alyssa Ashcroft. We're going to take a look at a video by somebody that I revere and absolutely love over here on YouTube. Fantastic work they do. Ink Ribbon. I watched the reaction that they had. It was unbelievable. We're also excited for this. This is 25 facts about Alyssa Ashcroft that I just want us to look at, because now that we have her as the big indicating factor of why Grace is doing what she's doing, right? And we all have our tinfoil hats on to why monsters are doing what the hell they're doing, right? We don't know who the guy in the mask is. We don't know certain things. We don't know if the creature is Lisa Trevor. We need to understand the Ashcrofts. Big shout out Ink Ribbon. You better believe it. Ink Ribbon is a OG, right? So let's take a look at this video for a second and listen into what he has to say about Alyssa Ashcroft, because now that she's going to be at the front and center of the new game, I think that we really need to try to understand who the hell she is.
Ink Ribbon.
I am sad to say this is my final video covering Outbreak characters. I saved one of the best characters for last though, because you guys have been asking for this for a long time, and I am so happy to finally be doing this facts video. And joining me today is none other than Susie the Sphere Hunter, who just happens to be a very big fan of this character. So with all that, from literally breaking the game to mispronouncing her name, here are 25 facts about Alyssa Ashcroft.
Alyssa was a journalist for a newspaper called Comet News, but by 1998 had begun working at the Daily Raccoon. It's also worth mentioning that January Van Sant from Resident Evil Resistance also briefly worked for Comet News as an investigative journalist. Alyssa is known for having a very no-nonsense attitude and is extremely focused on whatever she sets her mind to. She is also the strongest and fastest female character out of the 3 Outbreak female protagonists. Alyssa has the special ability to lockpick lockers, drawers, and even some doors. She has 4 different shaped picks to choose from, which are I, S, W, and P, or if you rearrange them, it spells WISP, which is a lot easier to remember. Contrary to popular belief, you don't have to choose the right lockpick to open things. It'll just be significantly faster if you use the correct one. She also can't unlock doors that require keys because obviously she'd become the best character in the game and be able to bypass almost every single puzzle in the game. Her other skill is her backstep. Basically, this makes her dodge backwards with a little hop, and thanks to its fast animation, can be used to avoid damage in a lot of situations, though timing can be tricky. Alyssa has one more hidden ability, which is her pot shot. Just like Kevin, aiming any handgun-type weapon and waiting a moment will make her refocus, and any shot fired after this will guarantee a critical hit. She and Kevin are the only 2 characters that can do this. In File 2, characters were given a unique bonus item to start with. For Alyssa, that item is a stun gun, also known as a taser. This is meant more as a defensive weapon to get enemies away from you. Most players throw it away once all the charges are used up, but you can actually recharge it if you combine it with a battery. It's also worth mentioning you can hold down the attack button for a continuous stun lock.
Damn it.
When Alyssa is an AI-controlled character in single-player mode, unless you're playing as George or David, she will pretty much always run off and do her own thing.
Alyssa! Someone help me!
No! Over here!
One good thing about her is that she rarely dies, and will usually turn up with whatever key items you need. But the downside is she also won't usually save you or engage in combat. She's also infamous for denying almost all requests for exchanging items. Something most players don't know is that when Alyssa is one of your AI partners, she actually can unlock things with her lockpick. It's very rare, but if there are no enemies in the room, you can get her to stand in the right spot in front of the lock. There's a very slim chance that she will unlock it. If you want to try this yourself, you can stand next to the locker you want her to open and request an item to get her there. We tried really hard to do this, and finally got it to happen in the zoo level, but she was promptly interrupted by the elephant.
Alyssa.
Resident Evil games have never been known to have glitches that seriously affect the game, but Alyssa changed all of that. If you play as her during the Outbreak scenario, if you use her ad-lib, there's a high chance that the game will completely crash, forcing the player to restart. It's worth mentioning that this was, in fact, fixed for the PAL version of the game. Alyssa has a total of 5 outfits. First is her default, which is a stylish red business wear ensemble with a pair of brown leather boots, and her press badge, which if you ever wanted a closer look at is visible in this render. Her second unlockable outfit, dubbed Midnight Collar, consists of a sexy red dress that borders on lingerie and a pair of high heels. Then there's her street scene outfit, comprised of a sporty halter top, track pants, sneakers, sweatbands, and stylish orange sunglasses, along with her hair pulled up into a bun. Her third outfit reveals that she's a skilled fighter, wearing a full karate gi, even having her name in kanji embroidered on it. And lastly is her Victory Road outfit, consisting of a white visor and matching halter top and hot pants. We originally assumed this was some kind of marathon running outfit, but after some Googling, we realized this is a lot closer to the uniforms worn by professional beach volleyball players, which means that Alyssa could potentially be into several different sports, including karate, running, and volleyball. It's also worth mentioning she has the numbers 813 written on her arms. We looked all over the internet for what these numbers could mean, and it brought up everything from I love you, to Bible verses, to a type of Japanese train. So we'll let you guys figure out what these numbers might mean to you. In File 2, Alyssa is voiced by Wendy Lee, who is one of those voice actors that has been in so many things it's hard.
So obviously we're getting a lot of information about Alyssa. I know usually I pause to break a lot of the stuff down, but what I want to do is go through all 25 and really give us an idea of who Alyssa Ashcroft is. It's actually kind of interesting that we did see her in another game, one that wasn't very good, right outside of Outbreak, but the tears sustain me. Your tears sustain me. Hey, I legitimately am tearing up right now. Love you all so much. Hey, Mr. Tibbs, the love is from us to you. Okay? Remember how special you are in this community, and we thank you for being a part of it always. All right, let's finish up this video, and then we got a little bit to chat on. It's about, right, we're 5 minutes in, but I think all the information that we're about to get is very important. Now, there might be a lot of you in here, maybe Lily, right, because she's learning a lot about Resident Evil, maybe even Lefty, a lot of other people, right, that may not know a lot about Alyssa Ashcroft, because, again, she wasn't a big character unless you played Outbreak and Outbreak File 2. I think it's important that we sit here and actually listen to who she was. So I'll be back right after this video.
To list here, but among some of her famous roles are Faye Valentine from Cowboy Bebop, Bulma in Dragon Ball Super, Haruhi Suzumiya, both Akane and Miyu from Danganronpa, and many, many more. There was a big change between actors in File 1 versus File 2, with many of the voices being noticeably different, but one of the weirdest changes was most of the characters going from calling her Alyssa to calling her Elisa, which always personally annoyed me, Susie Hunter.
Alyssa. Elisa. Alyssa! Elisa. Alyssa! Elisa!
The only thing we can guess about that is simply that it's the Japanese pronunciation of her name, which is backed up by the SP item Forgotten Gi, which has her name in Japanese written as Arisa. As for why this change was made, you'd have to ask Allison Court.
A bulk of Alyssa's SP items are related to materialistic things like clothes, shoes, and makeup. She seems to not only be obsessed with looking good, but she's also very confident about being beautiful, as demonstrated by her description for the SP item Stiletto Heels, which reads, "These look hard to walk in, but that's the price you pay when you're drop-dead gorgeous like me." The other majority of her SP items are related to dieting and fitness. These include vitamins, a weight loss patch, diet pills, exercise equipment, and more. Alyssa is very pragmatic and judgmental, often dismissing anything that could be considered nonsense or unimportant to her, as demonstrated by her thoughts about several of her SP items, like the slimming necklace, where she comments that people will believe anything. Interestingly, she also has an SP item called Vinyl Wrap that claims to give you abs if you wrap yourself with it, and she decides she's going to try it out. The rest of her SP items are an interesting mix, being an assortment of journalism-related items like cameras, pens, and notebooks, while the rest seem to be a mix of as seen on TV type gimmick items, like a patch that you can stick on to remove a double chin and the infamous anti-fart patch. In 1993, when she was still a young rookie reporter...
Hold on, what the fuck? Wait, did they just say an anti-fart patch? What did I just hear right there? So we have the top 10 left. Right. Oh my god, I didn't realize she was Yoruichi from Bleach. Yeah, and she actually was Faye Valentine from Cowboy Bebop. They had a very famous voice actor cover Alyssa Ashcroft. I think, weirdly enough, if we look back at Alyssa in Outbreak and we realize how intricate of a character she was and, like, really, like, I mean, you're not going to think about it there because you thought she was just made for the specific game. She actually had a pretty big significance, right? And again, one thing that Jem and a few others had noted out to me was the Dulvey Daily Alyssa Ashcroft file that you find inside of the Baker residence in RE7. We're going to go ahead and take a look at that on our own right after this video.
She accompanied another reporter named Kurt to an old hospital in the Arklay Mountains to investigate illegal drug testing on patients. This resulted in Kurt being killed and eaten by Dorothy, a woman who had been given an early version of the T-virus. This is all revealed in the flashback scenario, which is her canon scenario. While in the hospital back gate, Alyssa's ad-libs reveal that she suppressed the memory to the point of not being able to remember it at all. Speaking of her memory, I really tried to find information about this, even listening to the ad-libs, but I couldn't confirm it. But since it's listed on the wiki and I've seen a couple dusty GameFAQ forums talking about it, I just thought I'd mention this. Greg Mueller apparently performed a procedure on Alyssa to medically suppress some of her traumatic memories, but there's very little info about it and it's only hinted at. So I guess he must specialize in neuroscience or amnesia because he did the same thing to Yoko. But regardless, just take that with a grain of salt. Even though Alyssa survives the incident in Raccoon City, her main incentive to get out alive was actually because of her former colleague Kurt. In the ending of the flashback scenario, Alyssa shows a lot of compassion towards him, which seems to be rare for her. She and Kurt were friends, and possibly more. What do you guys think?
That hospital's experiments were more than just human rights violations. They were crimes against nature itself. Kurt, your sacrifice won't be in vain. I'll escape this damn town alive and spread the truth about what happened.
At the beginning of the scenario, you might have to navigate through a forest to reach the old hospital. If Alyssa is not in your party, she will run ahead and you will find her either waiting or dead, depending on your difficulty, and she'll give you some items. But if you're playing on hard or very hard, she will turn into a zombie and stalk you. Not just any ordinary zombie though, but a super zombie that cannot be killed, only stunned. It's hinted that Alyssa may not be able to remember that she is a black belt in karate. She has several SP items required to unlock her gi outfit, but all the descriptions seem to trigger some sort of reaction or feeling that she can't explain.
All right, so she's got a lot of stuff, man. I mean, if we sit here and try to watch this whole video, we're going to be here for like 25 years. Very interesting, a lot of the different information that, let's see, Alyssa Ashcroft RE7 reference. All right, let's get back on the horn and discuss this. Will Alyssa Ashcroft star in RE7 DLC? Now, this was made 8 years ago by Where's Barry. How interesting is that? Holy crap, I like Where's Barry. Where's Barry actually makes really good content. So, obviously, we know Alyssa Ashcroft does not star in any Resident Evil 7 DLC, but I love Where's Barry. He doesn't usually make videos too often anymore, and he really kind of just goes with the flow. He probably will make more now with RE9 being announced, but he seems to resurface when Resident Evils become prominent again. So, I love Where's Barry. I'm really curious to see why he thought that Alyssa Ashcroft would star in an RE7 DLC. I want to take a look at that because, again, at this moment, we're diving into Alyssa. We're trying to find out a bit of information about her. And then once we break down a little bit more, we're going to talk about Silent Hill F for a little while.
Welcome to the family, son.
6 months before Ethan Winters showed up at the Baker's plantation, Alyssa Ashcroft, a newspaper reporter from Raccoon City, was doing some investigatory reporting in the Dovey area after 20 people went missing. You might recognize the name because this journalist was one of the main playable characters in the Resident Evil Outbreak series. So what is this side character doing in Dulvey, Louisiana, and could she possibly be connected to the complicated story of Resident Evil 7. In RE7, when I stumbled upon an Alyssa Ashcroft article about missing people from the local paper, I thought, cool Easter egg, and moved right along. However, some very cool Crimson Army commenters threw out a very interesting question. What if the final paid downloadable additional story chapter coming in 2017 features an inquisitive Alyssa Ashcroft investigating the grounds of the Baker family farm? According to Ashcroft's articles, most of the people missing were vagrants, and the life of a vagrant often entails going missing for stretches of time. No big deal. However, in June of 2017, something big happened. Some people went missing yet again, but this time they weren't homeless wanderers. This time they were well-known mini-celebrities, the Sewer Gators. They most likely had family, friends, fans, and a Discord that cared about their whereabouts. A perfect emotional and mysterious story for a journalist to take on. A good reporter like a...
It's interesting that they reference Alyssa Ashcroft at all in RE7. It was almost like she died 8 years prior to what's going on right now in Requiem. And, this may have been some of her last, right, investigative journaling that we could possibly see, maybe a couple of years after. And we need to talk about this Wrenwood Hotel bullshit. So that was, this is pretty interesting on why there could have been DLC. But I want to look at the Wrenwood Hotel. Not the real one. We want to look at the Resident Evil one. Wrenwood Hotel. Wrenwood, or Lenwood, is an urban hotel located in a city somewhere in the United States. The hotel was linked to criminal operations and was subject to the investigation by reporter Alyssa Ashcroft, who was subsequently murdered there. Some 8 years later, a suspicious homicide further led the FBI, including Ashcroft's own daughter, which is insane, back to the hotel. Now, this is the only picture we have right now of it. So the reason why the immune theory for Grace has some merit is because in Outbreak, the main character normally has a timer in the form of a virus infection. And what if Grace has like the Ellie immunity? I mean, it could be true. I think that it would actually be pretty awesome. It would feel so much like Ellie. And that's why kind of like we don't know the direction that they're going to go in. But that's really not a bad tinfoil hat idea there, Mr. Tibbs. But this is the picture we get. It's not in Raccoon City. Wrenwood Hotel is in a totally different location, right? She was an investigative journalist that, I guess after the events of Raccoon City, would absolutely deep dive into anything that she was looking at, right? So we don't know much about the Wrenwood Hotel. We don't know much about some of the other voices. We hear a young girl in the beginning of the, like when we see the RPD logo, like ruined, we hear like a young girl. Don't know who that could be. There's a lot of voices that we really don't know, but what we do know is that we're getting this game February 27th of this upcoming year. We have 8 months to get these tinfoil hats on and really start deep diving into this game franchise. It's going to be quite interesting. And you know what I like about it most, guys? You know what I really, really like about this most? It's almost pushing players to go back in time and play the Outbreak franchise with the absolute opportunity for them to remake an Outbreak game alongside 5, Code Veronica, or 0. I think that we're going to have a lot of Resident Evil projects in the next few years, and that's why it was delayed quite a bit, because they have multiple projects going on. Especially you needed 9 to be the focal point and the start of this. Didn't Alyssa also work alongside Zoe after RE7 to help her look for Winters? I don't know. I wrote Diddy. Did Alyssa Ashcroft help Zoe in RE7? Alyssa Ashcroft did not directly help Zoe Baker in Resident Evil 7. However, Alyssa Ashcroft is a notable character in the Resident Evil universe, and her existence is acknowledged in RE7. Specifically, a newspaper article written by her about a missing persons in the Dulvey area is found in a main hall of the main house connecting her to the events of RE7. Zoe Baker was helped by Ethan Winters and her uncle Joe Baker in RE7. While Alyssa Ashcroft didn't directly assist Zoe, some fans suggest possible connection between them through the investigations of similar events, particularly the upcoming RE9. It is speculated that Zoe may have collaborated with Alyssa in writing a report about the Dulvey incident, as mentioned in RE Village. Did he? Yeah, everybody's face just completely changed. Did he or didn't he? That was good. I like that. So, there is a lot of merit here to what you just said, Mr. Tibbs. I had no idea. So this was mentioned in RE Village. What? My brain is about to explode. You guys are making my brain explode, damn it. There is currently nothing in the canon in the game that suggests Alyssa helped Zoe in RE Village, so why did it just say that? Yeah, I'm lost here why it's saying that now, and if we go back a second, it says Alyssa writing a report about the Dulvey. All right, so let's copy this. Let's paste it. The Baker Incident Report. All right, let's take a look. Let's deep dive here, guys. Get our fucking hats on. Yeah, it's called the Baker Incident, and it's an optional file you could read on the main menu. Wow. Oh, it's from the deluxe edition. All right. So it says right here, as I post for those who didn't get the deluxe edition of RE8 and want to know the edition, so here it goes. Basically a text slideshow detailing the aftermath of RE7 with some clarification we're not privy to. So it discusses the aftermath of the events of RE7 leading into RE8. The report itself is written by none other than Zoe Baker. Damn! Go Mr. Tibbs on his birthday. The connections are slightly explained as a crime syndicate. Hold on a minute here, guys. We just read something about the Wrenwood Hotel being known for criminal activity. Hold on a minute. Are we piecing something together? Did the connections have something to do with Alyssa's death? Or are we going a little too far here? Now that made me pause for a second because I was like, holy mother of God, that is a crazy connection. Wow. Holy crap, Win Tibbs. So it says right here, they're a crime syndicate operating in Eastern Europe and having been founded by Oswald E. Spencer's former right-hand man, Brandon Bailey, whose whereabouts at the moment are unknown. Hold on a second here. Hold on. Let's wake up. Is the guy standing over by the record player Brandon Bailey? Oswald E. Spencer's former right-hand man, Brandon Bailey, whose whereabouts at the moment are unknown. They don't take over the world, but instead profit off making and selling bioweapons. Bows in lore knowledge, this man may have came onto something unbelievable. Could our man be this? I'm going to actually save this page so I don't actually lose it. As implied in RE7, the BSAA were hunting down Evelyn prior to the events of the game, but she had kidnapped... Wait, what? But she had escaped. Damn, I can't read. And that's what led her to being shipped to America. The BSAA covered the incident up as a natural gas leak to hide their mistake. Oh wow, so it was the BSAA, we found out. Many people don't believe the official explanation. Well, why would you? They chose not to believe the Raccoon City incident, and look what happened to them. Bro, how fitting that you have Mew music playing during this discovery. I know, dude. It's just, it's revelating. It's thanks to Mr. Tibbs, and oh my God, that was, wow. Now let's take a look right here. So we know at the end of Resident Evil 8 Village, the BSAA was starting to send in bioweapons as soldiers, right? Chris notices that. One of his soldiers, the guys that he works with, mentioned it, and he said chart a course for the BSAA, HQ, which is, again, we don't know if we'll ever see that. The mold is now officially called the mutamycete, explained in detail along with how Evelyn is supposed to be used a bioweapon. Ethan's profession was a systems engineer. The fucking Lord Daddy himself. Ethan Ethan and Mia are under the BSAA's supervision in exchange for moving to Europe. Basically, they're under witness protection of sorts, so Chris and company can protect them from the Connections. As speculated, Mia was indeed working for the Connections previously for unknown reasons. Zoe, after being released from BSAA custody, ends up going back to a normal life, getting a job as a rookie reporter for a small-time newspaper in New Orleans. Mia later sends a letter to Zoe thanking her for helping her and Ethan escape and how they are doing, revealing to her that she and Ethan now have a baby named Rosemary. I think we gotta get Gotail Roadie on now. Honestly, do I have it in this thing? I say. Here we go. What's this? This is the closest thing I have right now to it, so we'll go ahead and just play some RE7 music if that's good. Alongside the letter, Zoe also receives a forwarded document. It is a message. It's a message to Chris from the BSAA. Here's what it details. Prior to the start of RE8, Chris has taken personal control of the BSAA's Hound Wolf Squad without their permission and has been accessing a number of personal files and is found to be investigating the Winters and Mother Miranda. The words, "It's not over," is scribbled onto the back of the letter, implying Chris sent this to Zoe. Zoe vows to continue her investigation. Wow. Wow, and this was posted 4 years ago, so this is right around the time of RE8. So this is not like brand new that people are making that connections. This is, get it, connections. The ceiling monster is Aunt Rhodey. Don't tell her. That's amazing. So we found a lot of information from this. Could it be this man, and his whereabouts at the moment are unknown, that Oswald E. Spencer's right-hand man was making profit off of and selling bioweapons? This is very interesting lore. So now we have to now we have a lot of questions and non-answers. This is something that we're probably going to be talking about for streams to come, guys. I mean, my God. You did contribute, Lily. That was fantastic. It is... Look, we could talk about this for days, man, and we probably will, because obviously we're going to be discussing our next stream, what game we want to see us stream right here on the platform. Right? I'm going to make one final post as to voting on what we could be playing next, and there's going to be different types of games, and we're going to find out what we're working on. But man, we really have dove deep into the Resident Evil 9 lore at this moment. And what I would like to do is touch on another franchise super fast, right? Because we definitely need to see this. Because I'm not sure if a lot of us did. But let's listen to what everybody has to say first. So if we think about it, if this is Brandon Bailey, this has been in development since RE8. Jesus Christ, Capcom, what are you doing with this? Well, think about it. I personally think that RE9 has been in development since the RE2 remake. That's my thought. So I think since like 2018, right, this has been in development with the plans. So we could be looking at like 8 to 9 years, right? 8-9 years of development. Maybe a little bit less, but that's still a lot. I think Village was always the idea, and they already had the script wrote out and they had made it, but every intention of Requiem already being a thing. So personally, guys, I think that Resident Evil Requiem has been an idea for quite some time by the Resident Evil team in order to branch away from its main character protagonist, filling up a game, and also starting their new chapter into what they want to do with Resident Evil, right? Because Resident Evil will never die. It's one of the biggest survival horror franchises, if not the biggest ever. So this is very interesting stuff, but we literally yapped for about 2 hours on Resident Evil 9, and honestly, in future streams we're going to continue to, because there's a lot to uncover, right? But one thing I want to do is I do want to talk about Silent Hill F for a little while, because I know a lot of people are big Silent Hill fans in the community, and I did tell them that I would be covering the Silent Hill F trailer that we just got 5 days ago, so I want to go ahead and cover that. I'm going to let the entirety of the trailer play, and then we're going to discuss it. And I want you guys to tell me what you think. Does it look a little bit like Silent Hill 2 Remake? What do we feel about the story? Does it also feel like a little bit of a Fatal Frame? I'll let you guys decide.
Sakuko, どこ行くの？こっち通るの珍しいね。
今は誰かと喋りたくて。
私も後から行くね。
うん。じゃあね。
裏切り者。
誰もいないの。足の悪いおばあちゃんまでいないなんて、こんなの絶対に変。俺もいないし、気味の悪い怪物がうろつき回ってるし。いや、ひなこ。来るな。ひなこ、どこにいるの？ひなこはいいよね。何でも持ってる。そんなあんたがいなくなってくれるんだからせいせいする。一人は嫌だよ。寂しいよ。ずっと一緒だよって約束したよね。暗いのは嫌。一人ぼっちは嫌。錯誤。
裏切り者。
They keep calling her a traitor, Hinako. So that's the trailer, right? The release, and I'm gonna continue it just so you guys can see this really fast. Silent Hill F. We got on September 25th of 2025. It is being made by Unreal Engine and Neobards Entertainment. We know that Neobards Entertainment had their hands in the mini games of Resident Evil, right? What the hell was that one? RE-verse, right? But again, as much of a failure as RE-verse was, its action and its graphical context and its fight wasn't bad. It just didn't sell well. It didn't appeal to the fans. So let's see. Mr. Tibbs says, although we got to chatting about what next has got me excited about horror in general. And I would agree, right? Because at the end of the day, we all love Resident Evil here, but Silent Hill is its sister franchise, and it is amazing. I think I was talking to Jem one time, and I was telling him, when was the last time, and I think I said this earlier, when was the last time we had an announcement for a Resident Evil and Silent Hill coming out within the same year? Holy crap, man. I mean, we are being blessed as horror fans here. Lily the Cat says, oh dear me, that looks petrifying. Yeah, this one looks very psychologically tormented and effed up. And what they said about beauty in the grotesque, could it be more true? Not only do I feel Fatal Frame vibes, but also evil within. I mean, that's not a bad take either there, Mr. Tibbs. It could, right? There are a lot of themes that are being portrayed in this game. And for some reason, we keep indicating that Hinako is a traitor. Yeah, having both Silent Hill and Resident Evil so close together really takes me back to 98. Yeah, remember with the announcement of RE2 and then Silent Hill 1 a little bit later? I mean, if we just look, right, I'll go ahead and mute it. But if we look at the combat, right, the combat kind of feels a little bit like Silent Hill 2 Remake. We got some big-ass bloater creatures. This thing looks absolutely terrifying. Oh, my God. Silent farts, says Robotron. What's going on, man? Silent Hill F. What do we think the F stands for? To me, it looks like a musical note. Very strange how it keeps transitioning. We see the fog. We see her friends, it looks like, as puppets, right, that are trying to hunt her down. They keep calling her a traitor, so that's going to play a major role on the psyche of her and what the story lore is actually going to be about, right? We don't really know too much. It just says Silent Hill F is set to release September 25th. Find the beauty and terror in this new Japanese psychological horror. We know that this game takes place in 1960s rural Japan, okay, before the events of the town of Silent Hill. Same for the main character. Her name is Frances. Yeah, her name is Hinako, but hey, you know what? You're trying. So I think that the F is like a note, right? Like a musical note. So that could have, you know, some real implications. Let's take a look at Silent Hill F story. See if we get anything on it. Let's see. We're not going to trust Wikipedia on this one. We got the plot. What do we think? The flowers in the teaser represent death in Japan. And there's a young girl mourning a child's grave. A child's doll, a torii gate in the water. Now, guys, I understand we're in Japan, but this right here, I just recently played through 1 through 5 of the Fatal Frame franchise. I mean, they are going very, very deep on like Fatal Frame-esque feelings here. I love the fact that the combat feels heavy, unlike Silent Hill 2, make the monsters actually recoil back from being hit. And the blood spatter, right? Like, I agree with that, Mr. Tibbs. The blood spatter is absolutely intense in this game, right? While some of it looks like it needs to be just a tad bit refined, not saying it looks bad at all, it actually looks very engaging. I love the third person over the shoulder. Third person over the shoulder, I think, is the next best thing after the fixed camera angles that we had in some of the original games of Silent Hill and Resident Evil. That's why I'm hoping in Resident Evil 9 we do get a third-person view, right? I don't really want it to be in first person. I really think that it worked for 7 and 8. I think it's time to put that one back inside of the chest and lock it up for good. I don't mind first-person games. That's not what I'm trying to say here live on the stream. I'm just saying that I think Resident Evil works best when we could really be in tune with our character. And I think that the third person aspect lets us see them, lets us really like captivate that feeling to where first person does that as well, but it's more of like you being the protagonist. And I don't know, I just think that Resident Evil was always seeing who we were and seeing the character. So that's why I always believe it to be something else. So let's see right here. All right. Let's see. My humble theory is that Silent Hill F is that it will be a completely separate story, right? We know that this is obviously a prequel. This was a conversation on Reddit about a year ago. Completely different story. It will appear in a different setting, characters, lore, and even a new otherworld. The game might be rooted in the Shinto beliefs, particularly their concept of hell and afterlife. Themes like people transforming into plants, the road to Yomi, the underworld, and red spider lilies associated with death all point towards this. This will probably disappoint many fans, but I think the story will revolve around Japanese Alessa, another girl with supernatural powers awakening the hidden power of the sacred place, only to have it twisted by her own nightmares and fears. In other words, it will take the Silent Hill phenomenon approach, but in a more artistic, subtle, and clever way than the message. Why? Because the writer this time is extremely talented, right? We have Ryushiki07. He is well known for Higurashi When They Cry, the anime franchise. Base hates first person, loses COD fan base. Honestly, I actually really don't hate first person. I just think it's made for specific games. I'm calling it now. Silent Hill F is going to be a 10 out of 10. I mean, honestly, Robo, I don't disagree with you. I think Silent Hill F is going to do really well. And I think look, we all have to understand something. While I know a lot of people, my friends included, that are not happy with the Silent Hill phenomenon, right? The Silent Hill phenomenon, if you guys played the short message that was on the PS5, maybe the PC, right? It basically explained that Silent Hill's, what goes on, right, with the demonic creatures and everything that we get to see, wasn't just at the origin of the town, right? The town had been cursed. The town had been cursed by whatever the order or the people that drew the rituals, right, brought to the town. The phenomenon says basically, no, it travels, right? Like, it's not a one chill thing. It's not just the town. There's more than that. Now, whether that's for, you know, to make new games in the future and just the writers kind of branching out, or they're really trying to establish some sort of lore here, I don't mind it. Incredibly talented, Ryoshiki07. Absolutely, Gem. Higurashi When They Cry is actually one of my favorite animes. It is dark and twisted, and when I heard that he was writing the story, I don't see the story being any sort of problem with this game. That's why I was nervous about the gameplay, because if the gameplay, right, were to be not that great, the story, I don't think, would suffer. The question is, does a story suffer when the gameplay is bad? Or is, you know, what if the gameplay is really good and the story's bad? That's the question we have to ask ourselves. We don't truly know. And it says right here, okay, let's see, the Silent Hill. We're going to talk about the Silent Hill phenomenon in a second. Pros: new story, new world, new lore, new characters, new foes, and another world. And we get a new style of music made by Yamaoka-san as well, which is just unbelievable, right? Let's take a look. What is the Silent Hill phenomenon? All right, boys and gals and all of our pals, right? We're going to trust AI. No, I'm just kidding. The Silent Hill phenomenon, a concept introduced in Silent Hill: The Short Message, describes a state where the boundary between a person's subconscious thoughts and reality blurs, leading to a manifestation of delusions. It's named after the fictional town of Silent Hill, where similar events have occurred, but it is presented as a phenomenon that could be anywhere, not just in a specific location. Me personally, I love this, because now I think it gives us an opportunity to be in other locations, to where Silent Hill, the town, is so legendary. And I think that we will be back in the town of Silent Hill, of course. I think it gives us an opportunity to make outsourced spin-off games, right? I don't think that's a bad thing. The phenomenon is characterized by a disruption of the line between a person's internal world, their subconscious, and their external reality, causing mental distortions, right? The Silent Hill phenomenon is linked to the psychological state, suggesting that trauma, stress, and other mental factors can trigger it. Let's take a look at the Silent Hill wiki. Silent Hill phenomenon. The blank rate has increased around the world, in large part due to the struggles brought upon by COVID-19 pandemic. It's interesting that they even said that in this, right? Because this came out during the time of the pandemic. With countries still unsure on how to best handle the issue, their trying times have also been given rise to a strange phenomenon in many areas. Those affected by suddenly declaim and see the fog, even in the fair weather days, and lose consciousness shortly after. It's almost like COVID-19 created Silent Hill. I think I love the fact, Mr. Tibbs says, that each visitor has a different view and experience in the town. Angela is surrounded in fire, right? Because she was filled with rage. Eddie is cold because he's a killer. And James, yeah, we know the rest. Think about it. When we first meet Eddie in Silent Hill 2, and he's throwing up in the toilet, he's breathing, and you could see the cold air as if the room is freezing. I noticed that the other day when I was playing it. Which leads us to believe that his world that he sees is very icy and distorted and cold like his heart, right, for being a killer. Angela, having dealt with family trauma and, SA, and all that kind of stuff. You guys know what I mean by the, initials of SA. I'm not going to say it on stream. That she saw fire and it always looks like this. And James finally got a glimpse into what she looks like. Mr. Tibbs also says it's surrounded by fog because he has blocked out the memory of killing his wife. I mean, right? The thing is, the fog is not only just for technical problems, it also is helping guide James. The fog starts to dissipate as we continue to walk. I think that's a really good idea. The fog because he blocked out the memory of taking his wife, right? I think that is well said, truthfully. Let's see, it's come to be known as the first to propose this theory explaining that this could be happening is Dr. Blank, a social psychologist at Blank University, so we don't know who first coined this, who had been following to say the matter. To one who is psychologically unstable, fog represents uncertainty and sensory illusions. When in a state of high stress, one's vision may become obscured or tunneled, as if one is wandering through a dense fog or mist. Societal uncertainty and apprehension about the future manifests as fog, thus blurring the lines between illusion and reality. As time goes on, we are seeing more and more cases of the Silent Hill phenomenon. In response to Dr. X calls for a rapid rebuilding of society, as well as the stronger emphasis on counseling and mental health care for the young. Interesting. Yeah, the Abstract Daddy is my favorite kill as well. That was just the story. When you guys sit there and you actually like play the casual story of Silent Hill 2 and finally divulge what happened and what's going on and why you're there, and that, you know, 2 of the endings could definitely be the more canon ones, you realize how great it is. I mean, it is truly a great story. So it's based loosely, it's based off of Maine, Silent Hill, that town area when they were filming, when they were capturing ideas of what Silent Hill would look like in 1998 for the 1999 release. They went to Maine. They actually sent a team out there, right, of Japanese guys to take pictures of some of the towns that you would see in Maine. That's why a lot of the township in Silent Hill, in old Silent Hill, looked a lot like stores that you might see in Maine, which is different names. Very, very interesting stuff, man. Let's see. Yeah, we have the playable teaser due to a time gap between installments, some indie horror saturating the market. We know all about this, right? We have been sitting famished for horror for quite a long time, right? And horror is back on the rise, folks. Horror is back on the map. So while we don't know, the problem is that with Resident Evil 9, we have a little bit more clarification as to where the story is trying to go. With this, we had the short message, and then we have this where they keep saying that Hinako is a traitor, right? And a lot of dark, like, twists and turns. It's very interesting as to what is going on. Like, look at her classmates. We look to be inside of a school. It's going to be horrifying. We don't truly know what the story is here because this is an entirely new place. This is an entirely new setting with beauty in the horror, like Mr. Tibbs said originally. The Torii gates, a lot of it having a very strong emphasis where we're going to be holding flashlights. Looks like we're about to fight a Dark Souls boss. But Sakuko, like some of the people we know may be bosses that we have to fight, a lot like the original Silent Hills. I'm going to say it now, I don't think Konami will do this wrong. I think if anything, they showed that by trusting Bloober Team with 2 led to be amazing. We have that Chronos, the New Dawn game coming out by them that looks fantastic, right? And now we have Neobards Entertainment taking the helm with Ryoshiki 7 writing this. I just don't see it being bad in Unreal Engine. I see this being anything but it. And I'm very excited to see what it pertains to, right? With the phenomenon now being a thing, right? Let's see. So who is Hinako in Silent Hill F? Let's just take a look at her for a second. So Ryoshiki 7 noticed the female character in the previous Silent Hill games endured significant suffering. With Silent Hill F, he sought to create a protagonist, Hinako Shimizu, who actively makes her own choices rather than being pulled along by the story. Okay, so the decisions that she's making throughout the game are going to affect how we see the outcome of it. She's a protagonist, a young teenage schoolgirl who lives in a remote town of the Ibisu Gooka. And I could probably butcher that, but I usually just say the Ibisu Prefecture. It's amazing. I love Silent Hill and Resident Evil because of you guys. I love to hear that, Lily, and I'm really thankful that you're here. I'm really thankful we got so many people that just tune in. Seriously. I love that the nature of Silent Hill gives us unlimited range to explain on this universe, each individual's interpretations being equally nightmarish in its own right. I mean, Gem is correct, right? Zombies and monsters and creatures that Resident Evil has indoctrinated into us and showed us plays on our fears, right? Of just a virus, like a viral outbreak, how a town could fall apart. But when you dig deep into the mental psyche and you talk about psychological horror, right? All of us in here have always loved Resident Evil, but a lot of us didn't really get a chance to play Silent Hill. So now that we're getting to see so much more Silent Hill and that it's back, it's around, it's ready to go, we really have a lot of good things along the way. She is portrayed by Konatsu Kato. Okay, so that's her mocap, right? The story follows Hanako as she navigates a terrifying descent into horror when deep fog consumes the Ibisu Prefecture, turning her familiar home into a nightmare. Hinako is not passively swept along by the story. She actively makes her own choices and struggles to survive, fighting for her life and unraveling mysteries. This is a very different feeling for Silent Hill. But again, I'm going to trust in Ryoshiki 07. I mean, you can't go wrong by him, right? I mean, Silent Hill F, as we know, is set to release very soon, even sooner than Resident Evil Requiem. We actually are getting, this is the second Silent Hill we are getting in less than a year, if you guys could believe it. October 8th of 2024 was the Silent Hill 2 remake, and now F is September 25th, right? Less than a year. PS5, right? We know that it'll be on the PC. I think it's on the Xbox as well, right? I'm sure there's going to be like deluxe editions of this, which I think there are, right? I think there's a Silent Hill F Deluxe, right? Isn't there like a deluxe edition already we saw? Could have sworn they already said it. Here we go. Silent Hill F Deluxe Edition offers exclusive digital content alongside the base game, including the 48-hour early access. Okay, starting September 23rd, a digital art book, a digital soundtrack, and a pink rabbit costume. Do we have photos of this? Oh, it's actually on Steam. We were born in 1950. Oh, no, I clicked cancel. Do they actually show us? I wrote Silent Hill 4. That'd be crazy if that was on here. That's wild when you think about it, says Jem. Absolutely, dude. Oh my god, the valid date, dude. I was born in 1968. Leave me alone. Deluxe edition. Can we see this? Without me actually pressing the purchase button yet? Bro, I'm trying to see the picture. All right, here. Can I click on this? Will it give me over time? All right, so let's just let me save this picture really quick, and then we'll take a look at it. All right, let's take a look over here. Here we go. All right. So this is the pre-order for the Day 1 edition. We have the Silent Hill F full game, the Omamori Peony, it looks like a charm, item pack, shriveled Abora Age, divine water, first aid kit, in-game consumable items, the white sailor school uniform, and apparently a pink bunny rabbit costume that I don't see right here, but I mean, could be, right? Like, very, very, very interesting stuff. And they're probably going to have a steelbook, which I still never got my steelbook for Silent Hill 2. But again, they like short-sighted a lot of people, right? Like we didn't, you know, they said they had enough, they didn't have enough, and who knows if we'll ever get it. Silent Hill F's Deluxe Edition also comes with the full game, the digital art book, the soundtrack, and the pink rabbit costume, which is very interesting, but it plays on Robbie the Rabbit, which is a mascot for Silent Hill that I would say you see in Silent Hill 3. So yeah, guys, I mean, we are really being blessed right now. We are in a time where survival horror is back on the MFN map. Okay? Oh, here it is. I missed it. We got the White Sailor Costume Uniform 1. Oh, there are a lot of pre-order versions. Okay, this one looks pretty cool. $80. I mean, that's what video games are going to be soon, so that's a discussion for another stream, but we got to get ready to start paying nearly $100 US for games. So yeah, I mean, we don't know as much as we want to know about Silent Hill. Right, we definitely don't know as much as we are going to, but I think as the stories continue to come out and we start to find out a little bit more here and there, Silent Hill F, we got to see its combat system, we got to see some of the monsters and creatures, the places we're gonna go. It's terrifying. It's absolutely terrifying. Standard edition does come with the White Sailor uniform, but that's the early purchase pre-order, so you have to pre-order the game. I mean, I'm going to pre-order it, and we're going to, just so you guys know, for Resident Evil Requiem, which I'm sure all of us will be playing at the time, I am going to do a live stream for that. We're also going to do a Silent Hill F live stream. Right after this stream ends very soon, I'm going to go ahead and make a poll, and I have up to a couple of games that are drastically different in the survival horror world. and we're going to vote on them. And if you guys have any other ideas, put them in the comment section. I will give it 2 days, and then we're going to decide on a game to start up. I want Gem in a pink rabbit bunny costume. I mean, kind of, so do I. I wouldn't mind seeing that. But, I mean, yeah, guys, that is our stream for today. That is our stream. Right, we really dove deep into Resident Evil 9 because they gave us a little bit more story lore. We just kind of looked at Silent Hill F and kind of talked about it, related it to Silent Hill 2. And we've been live for over 2 hours, right? I know I was a little late to the party. I apologize for that. Sometimes the way work happens, it's a little late, right? Ladies, gentlemen, and everybody else, get those wallets ready. I actually saw something that I'm going to be spending $210 US between Pragmata, right, a Capcom game, Onimusha: The Way of the Sword, and Silent Hill F. That's $210. Not to mention August 28th, the Metal Gear Solid 3 remake comes out, which I'll be spending even more money. This is incredible. It's like we are going to be dropping so much money for these games, but it's worth it because we're finally getting the games. Lily the Cat says, this has been amazing. I had so much fun being back. Well, you know what? I am so happy that you're here, and I want to announce something right now, guys. We're going to be going live a bit more often now that school's done. I know I haven't been able to go live as often as I want, but the goal is to try to go live 2 times a week, with the very least, at least 1 time a week without there being any interruptions. I'm going to try to go as often as I can. We're in a time where Nintendo released a system almost 2 generations behind and more money than it should be, says the Robotron. Absolutely. I think Nintendo Switch 2 release was actually kind of a failure. I just think it really missed the mark. I don't think the console necessarily is bad, but I think there are stronger handhelds out there, especially with the announcement of Xbox, right? Xbox had their showcase, and that was insane, right? We got another High on Life coming out. We have DLC for Indiana Jones, a Invincible 3-on-3 tag fighting game, and a brand new Xbox ROG teamed up handheld. So we know the direction they're going in. We got some stuff on the horizon, folks. And yes, the goal is to try to go live 2 times a week, if not at least long streams for the 1 time. My vote. So I'm going to go ahead and get that vote set up over on the community tab. Feel free to write what you guys are thinking, and feel free to also comment on this video. Make sure you hit the like button, as it helps the streams. It is so great to be back, and now that school is done, you guys have my undivided attention aside from work. I had a great time here today, guys, and I hope you have a wonderful rest of your Monday. Almost Tuesday for most of you. Thanks for being here, guys. I love you all, and I'll see you on the next one. I will let the music play for a couple of seconds, see if anybody, you know, I want to go ahead and thank a few of our chat members right here. We have the Robotron. Thank you so much for tuning in, my brother. Lily the Cat, it is always a treat. Love you. Thank you for being here. Gemini, my man. Always my right-hand man. Mr. Tibbs, the lore gangster. I mean, happy birthday to you, my brother. Hope you enjoyed it. Lefty Bear, one of the best people I know. Truly just an avid fan and loves this kind of stuff. Thank you for being here, brother. I mean, we had a lot of different people jump in. We had Ethan, TWZ, right? We had some that couldn't probably make it, but man, we had a lot of fun today. Just for the bunny suit, you're getting the costume, says Lily. Hey, nothing wrong with that, but you know what? The game is going to be really good. $210, bro. I just dropped $1,000 on one. You're out of your mind, dude. You're out of your mind. Trading card games are just, that is expensive. But again, guys, I had a lot of fun here. Hope you did as well. This is the Notorious Base signing off. I'm going to see you guys on the next stream, which will be within the week. And we're going to decide on a game. Have a great rest of your night, everyone. Bye-bye.